Yo, what's going on, your boy Ghost here, and today I'm bringing us another comparison video between the Sten and MP-40, and I wanted to make this comparison to discuss the topic on if the Sten is a good SMG and capable of competing with high-tier SMGs such as the MP-40. And I don't know, just in general, I think the Sten is in a weird situation in Warzone where I feel like on one hand you think it's good, and then on the next you're like, nah, this gun isn't the greatest. Because for me, my personal experience, the Sten off the ground, for example, I think it's really good. It's always like been reliable. But then when I try to make a loadout with the Sten, that's when it started to take a weird turn. But before we get into this in more in depth, I want to say if you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. We're on the road to 2,000. Also, man, if you find this video informative or useful, hit that like button down below. And lastly, if you guys can do me a favor of following me over at my Twitch channel at alwaysghost_. We've been streaming pretty frequently over there, so hit a follow for your boy. So but yeah, with that being said though, let's get to the comparison. And here we have the recoil pattern for the Sten, and as you guys can see here, nothing too crazy. I will say though, with my class setup, the recoil and accuracy wasn't the greatest, or at least especially in range, it wasn't the greatest. But then again, my Sten is not fully leveled up, and that's a result of me not really playing Vanguard as much as I should have to level up these guns. And now that the integration already happened and all this double weapon XP, I don't really play Warzone as much either. Like, I don't play it more than I have to. That goes for both games. Actually, I don't even play Vanguard at all anymore. But yeah, I mean, all that, and we don't have guns leveled up. But even with that, the Sten is actually still pretty good. I will say that, like, off rip, that this Sten is not bad at all. Like, I think this gun is very, very solid. There's definitely a lot worse SMGs out there. This gun is, I think, capable of competing with SMGs. I don't know. Like, when we see the stats, for we'll talk about this more when we see stats. But the one thing, though, I will say that I wish I had for the Sten was more ammo. And you can get a 50-round mag on this Sten. However, the 50-round mag is just a 50-round mag. It doesn't give you like more fire rate, more damage, anything like that. Whereas the mag that I'm using on my Sten gives you more fire rate, gives you more, more stuff and whatnot. I think it does lower your damage, however. So what I will say is, I would recommend the 50-round mag. But if you would put on the 50-round mag, I would also recommend you to put the recoil booster. I think this gun does need a little bit of increase in fire rate. And so if you're not gonna have the mag on, which obviously with 32-round mag, it's not the best for Warzone. Maybe solos, but not like every other game mode, because 32, man, it's barely enough to kill one person. So 50 would definitely be the recommendation on my part, but I would also recommend you put the recoil booster. Now, that's also important because I think this weapon really varies on the class setup that you use, so you can't just like put on whatever attachment you want and then have it like perform really good. And that's probably why some people have a bad opinion on the Sten, just because maybe you didn't build it right. And I am not really one to talk because I don't have this gun maxed out, but just I will say that I think two essential attachments would definitely be the recoil booster and the 50-round mag, and maybe a sight. The iron sight isn't that bad though. Like, I think the iron sight is pretty cool, but you can get 10 attachments, so like, why not just put on the sight, make it make it easier to hit shots. But I really like I said, man, I really wish I was able to use this fully maxed out, and in the future I'll probably make another comparison when I have it fully maxed out. Because I feel like I'm missing out so much like information by not having it maxed out, and I am not capable of giving you guys a full picture on the Sten, which I apologize. It's my laziness that make this happen. So apologies. But regardless, man, I feel like I have a pretty decent understanding of how the Sten is, or how good the Sten is, and we'll just talk more about it when we get into the stats. But yeah, stats and MP-40. And we have the recoil pattern for the MP-40, and it's kind of the opposite of the Sten. Instead of going left, it goes right. But this gun is definitely pretty good at range. A lot more better than the Sten. And I don't know, man, this gun, you can pretty much pass this off as an AR. This has literally outgunned my Bren at range. Granted, I didn't hit all my shots with the Bren, but MP-40, bro, this gun, I don't know, sometimes I mistake it for an AR. That's how good it is at range sometimes. But anyways, man, the first stat that we're going to get into is the fire rate. And for the MP-40, we have a 600 RPM, and then for the Sten, we have a 666 RPM. So the difference here is very, very minimal, but the Sten still has an advantage over the MP-40 in terms of fire rate. Yes, that's without fire rate attachments, and me personally, I use 2 attachments on the MP-40 that gives me fire rate. I think it's the recoil booster and the mag. I'm pretty sure. If not, it might just be the recoil booster. So if I was to do the same with the Sten, like I've already advised you guys to do, then the Sten would still be, you know, still have a faster fire rate. And let's just say, for example, the person going up against isn't using the MP-40 with a fire rate attachment. Let's just say, if you had a Sten with the fire rate attachment, the Sten will probably win, because fire rate, man, is really, really important. And even if the gun damage-wise isn't crazy, the fire rate can always save it. And if you guys don't believe me, I'm just gonna give you guys one example. This is an example I always go to because this is like the best example to use in situations like this, and that is the MAC-10. Now the MAC-10 damage-wise was never the greatest. Maybe it was at the beginning of like the integration of Cold War, but definitely once it received like 4 nerfs, it wasn't the best damage-wise. But you know what saved it? The fire rate of 1,116 RPM, and that's why the MAC was always in contention, or just in the conversation for best SMG. It was always the old reliable. And the Sten, yes, it's not as fast as a MAC-10, but the faster fire rate, you know, allows it to still compete even when it's severely outdamaged. And speaking of getting outdamaged, let's talk about the damage. So for the MP-40, for 0 to 13 meters, we have 59 damage to the head, 42 to the neck, 36 to the chest, and then 33 to the stomach, 32 to the extremities. And then for the Sten, for 0 to 15 meters, we have 43 damage to the head, 37 to the neck, 29 to the chest, stomach, and extremities. Obviously, they're a huge like difference in terms of like neck and head damage. The chest, stomach, and extremity damage isn't too crazy. It's not like too far behind each other. Yeah, the MP-40 still has an advantage, but you know, it's not like the headshot damage, because that headshot damage is very, very like the advantage for the MP-40. It's obviously there, but again, the fire rate is gonna help the Sten at times be able to compete or even beat the MP-40 in certain gunfights. We'll move on over to more ranges, or longer ranges. For 13 to 16 meters for the MP-40, we have 47 damage to the head, 33 to the neck, 28 to the chest, 27 to the stomach, and 24 to the extremities. And then for the Sten, we have for 15 to 28 meters, 33 damage to the head, 28 to the neck, 23 to the chest, 23 to the stomach, and 22 to the extremity. And if you guys were paying attention to the ranges that I just read off, I think it was a missed opportunity on the developer side on making this gun a lot more competitive in the whole SMG landscape, because at 60 meters, that's when the damage drop off for the MP-40 occurs. That's when it starts to head into the longer range damage, and then for the Sten, it's 28 meters. However, the 60 meters and above damage for the MP-40 is still a lot, still stronger than the Sten at 15 to 28 meters. And I think that's kind of a missed opportunity, because if the Sten just had a little bit more damage, then the Sten would be able to, I think, compete a lot more comfortably. Whereas right now, it's kind of like, it can compete, but it's just no reason to even risk it when the MP-40 is just like this good. Like the Sten is good, but there's no reason to risk it right now, because like essentially, statistically, you're just outmatched. Statistically, Sten is still really good, but you're getting outmatched. And with that being said, for the 60 meters and above for the MP-40, we have 41 damage to the head, 29 to the neck, 25 to the chest, 23 to the stomach, and 21 to the extremities. So that's when the damage double happens. And even then, like, that's still stronger than the 15 to 28 meter Sten, which is just absurd. And then for 28 meters and above for the Sten, we have 27 damage to the head, 23 to the neck, 19 to the chest and stomach, and then 18 to the extremities. And typically, like, when you hear that, you might be like, oh, like, the Sten is just completely bad. But the MAC-10 had similar stats to that at longer ranges. But the thing about that gun was that it had no recoil, and you can use that gun as a AR, just like the MP-40. Whereas the Sten, you can't, well, I can't really say you can, but from my experience, you can't use that as a AR type SMG hybrid, you know? And again, I don't have the Sten maxed out, so I don't know if I should really be saying that the Sten can't map them like an MP-40 or MAC-10, but from what I experienced, like I said, yeah, I don't know. It's definitely not it for range. But regardless, in conclusion, the topic was if the Sten was good. I say yes, it is very good. But in terms of it competing with the top SMGs in the game, I'm gonna say it's a risk that you take if you put it on, because I feel like it's capable of being good and competing, but it's a risk that maybe you don't want to take when you could just use a Type 100 or a MP-40 and just stuff like that. But regardless, man, I hope you guys did enjoy the video, and let me know what you guys think about both the weapons down in the comment section down below, and I'm out. Peace.